Hey everybody, Buzz here. I was fortunate enough at the end of last month to get a small amount of time with the one and only Hannah Johns, who heads up content and media for the PPA, and you might notice her on the sidelines interviewing some of the best players in the game. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Hannah. Hey, this is Buzz with Pickleball Buzz here in late January of 2023. Yes, we are here in a new year, and my first interview of the season, as we've been a bit radio silent toward the end of last year just due to the amount of volume of things going on. But we're starting off with a real bang, and with us, as you can see, is Hannah Johns, who you might recognize from her sideline reporting, but that's only a fraction of what she does. There ought to be 8 of her and maybe 10 if she could wish for it, to do all the things that she does. And we welcome you, Hannah, for joining us here on the channel. Thanks.
Hi, Buzz. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure. She is really the more popular Johns of all of them. I'm going to just go there, and but as you might know, her family's very involved. Her 2 brothers play doubles, and her younger brother is a world #1 player. You might have heard of him, Ben. But and Colin, they team up and do doubles as well, and very entertaining, and certainly great ambassadors for the game, as is Hannah. So again, we welcome you with all your knowledge to kind of get us kickstarted here in 2023.
That's right. Starting off with a bang, like you said.
Yeah. The tour is a sprint, not and maybe a marathon all in one, because there is quite a bit of work to do. And there's been some changes that I think have expanded your role with MLP and PPA coming together. And then there's some more new dynamics down the road here in 23. So for all the people that watch this channel, it'd be interesting for them to kind of get some perspective on what the PPA MLP thing is and what you see in the future with more of that relationship blossoming.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we were so ecstatic to finally get a deal done with MLP and team up together. It takes the sport that has been fragmented, which has been noted by many major journalistic sources, what is happening to pickleball, but we were able to put all that to rest, bring the league and the tour together, the team event and the individual competitions together. And that's what we've wanted for a really long time. And it's best for the players, it's best for spectators, it's best for everyone involved. And so we're lucky enough to be basically a part of both of those things. MLP is still running on its own individually, but we're offering a lot of help on site we're sending out our DJ and some of our broadcast staff and others to help MLP put on a really good show, as they've already done in the past. So just amplify that and helping them with some of the PR and marketing sort of techniques around the MLP, and making sure our players are promoted to the best of our ability on all platforms. So it's a really exciting thing for pickleball.
Yeah, I think you're talking Chris is the DJ, right?
He is DJ Selkirk. He's going
Yeah.
out there. He's going to be regaling the MLP fans with his awesome tunes all week, I think.
So if any of you've watched Hannah on TV and or watched any of the players play, you might hear this booming audio in the background with a very gregarious DJ, and that's Chris. I got the chance to meet him, and it just interjects so much energy into the event. Speaking of events, I do run into a fair amount of people that don't go to tournaments because, well, they don't see themselves a part of it. Either they don't play enough or they don't think they play well enough to be a part of it. But we're seeing numbers growing in the amateur side during these pro events. That's pretty staggering. And even if you don't play, there's so much going on. It's kind of like a circus. I mean, there's something for everybody. Great food, lots of camaraderie. And accessibility to players is another big thing. So let's touch a little bit about why come to tournaments and some of the magic that happens.
Oh my gosh, you got to come out to a tournament. There's nothing else like it. Going out there and being close to the pros, playing on the amateur circuit. We usually have at least 1,000 registrants per PPA tournament. So it really is, like you said, a circus or a festival style atmosphere. We've got vendors, we're selling things, we've got food trucks, we've got all the bells and whistles, signage and sponsorship banners up everywhere. So we try to transform the venue from, a facility where you play pickleball to a really immersive experience where you walk in, you're like, wow, I've got player banners over here and I've got center court over here with stands all built up and lots going on. I mean, it's lively from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. at night and sometimes until later if we're running amateur divisions later. But it's just there's an infectious energy at tournaments that you just really can't find anywhere else. And like you said, the accessibility, I think it's a golden age of pickleball right now in terms of in no other sport right now or pro sport that's on a certain level, you can't get close to the celebrities of the sport. In pickleball, you're still able to walk up to Ben Johns after he gets off the court and ask for an autograph, get a picture with Anna Lee, shake Riley Newman's hand. It's all still very much small in that sense, but it won't stay like that for long. At some point, I know that we're going to get to the Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal of the tennis world, where you can't get within 500 steps of this guy. But I think people should enjoy the sort of the friendliness and the social aspect of a sport that's still exploding, and you can be a part of the history of pickleball by coming out to one of these tournaments and taking part in all the fun.
I think you'd agree that probably one of the coolest elements of the sport, aside from the sport itself, is the social nature of this and the community around it.
Oh yeah.
All players share that connective tissue in that. And I certainly am here to testify that I met Hannah last April down in Naples during the US Open down there. And she was just standing there watching her brothers play on one of the outlying courts, not even on the main, stage and main court. And it's just amazing that you have this accessibility. The players are all very welcoming, and it's a very cool vibe. And you wouldn't think you would have that accessibility. It's also fun too to watch people that play like you play, and they're there. And so, as Hannah is kind of encouraging people here, not only come, but if you feel like you want to participate, there's no love lost in this deal, man. I mean, when you go, even if you don't win out, you still get to have a ball of a time, and it's just it's more festival like, as you pointed out. So it's some cool stuff coming.
Absolutely. Now it's changing. It used to be tournaments were just local and whoever lived in that area would come out to the tournament. Now, constantly, I would say half of our customer base is from somewhere else when we go to a new town. I'm in Phoenix next week and there will be people from Florida, from New York, from Utah, wherever, all over the US, even the world. And they're like, well, this is a huge event for the family. We brought the kids, we're going out to dinner, we're going to sightsee while we're here. But this tournament is like a vacation and a highlight of our year. I just love that.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's talk a little bit about the pros because everybody kind of watches them. I think we have an emergence of maybe a new dynamic duo in the ALAB mathematic, which would be Anna Lee and Anna Bright. That was pretty impressive last weekend to see them play, and then of course Ben and your brother Colin look like they're sharper than ever, and it's certainly Riley Newman and Matt Wright are still right there neck and neck with them. And that makes for such a terrific and entertaining, competition. Talk a little bit about what you see coming up because there's lots of new faces too.
That's right. That's why this year is so exciting for pickleball because we now have the 60 top pros on the tour. So we're not separating talents anymore. Really, the cream of the crop should rise very clearly, I think, this year, which will be really exciting for fans. Like you said, the AL and AB partnership, I think, is going to be a really cool one. Those two are such dominant forces, and a lot of people had questions, how are two such aggressive, dominant players going to pair up on a court where generally you have more of a, let's say, an alpha beta mix on the court where you have the more aggressive player and then the more defensive player. But man, did they prove a lot of people wrong with how well they performed at Masters. So we'll see how that goes. I think Anna Lee may have a few partners this year. I don't think that partnership with Anna Bright is set in concrete as of yet, but we'll see as the year progresses. And then we're seeing, of course, Ben and Colin stay together, Riley and Matt stay together, which I think is a good move. They built up quite a beautiful, fun rivalry that was very entertaining last year. We're going to see a lot more of that this year. We have a lot of new faces, JW Johnson, Dylan Frazier joining the tour, and we didn't see a ton of them last year, as well as some of the singles specialists like a Federico Staxrud, a Pablo Tellez, who will definitely shake up the singles side at the very least. We saw Federico get to the final at the Masters, and they are super talented, and they have very high ceilings. They've only been in the sport for a year or so at this point, so a lot of space that they can go with things. I think Federico's really trying to up his, for example, his doubles game. So we should see him, Vivian David and Thomas Wilson all had a really great showing at the Masters as well. Vivian's one of the best women's doubles players out there. She's incredibly solid. That girl never misses. And Thomas, also an electric player and a really nice guy too. So
Yeah.
you're seeing crazy amounts of new faces, and I think it's just going to get more dynamic, more exciting, and more fun to follow these pros.
Yeah. Well, certainly when you look at all that these players do and how frequently they play, their commitment to being fit and in shape is really put front and center because even Thomas last weekend or weekend before last struggled, through that one match just to kind of get, himself together. And it's very demanding. I mean, they make it look easy, which is part of the problem. We're like, what the heck, but it is really something. I mean, I've seen obviously videos of what Ben's workout regimen is like. I mean, that would kill a normal person, but I mean, he just, and he just looks so unassuming about it. You think, oh, he's just picking up the paddle and whacking the ball. Well, not quite. There's a lot of work at strengthening, and so we're seeing much more of that come to the forefront. And the reason that's kind of important for other people to see that is that we have a lot of injuries out on the courts where people are not limbering up. They're just going out and hitting three balls and then getting after it, and then they're pulling a hamstring or they're hurting themselves in some way that puts them on the couch, which is not where they want to be. So have you seen the emergence of a lot of pre-workout types of things, or people more in the gym getting toughened up basically?
Oh, absolutely. It's come so far from when, I mean, Ben got in the sport 6 years ago, or maybe 7 years ago now, and I knew it back then as well. I was in and out, not working in it, but I knew it. And I mean, nobody really took it seriously, but now we're seeing, I mean, Ben works out every single day, strength and conditioning, stretching daily, and practice daily. And I know a lot of the other pros are also really big on that. Um, Jay DeVilliers, Zane Navratil, Annalise spends a lot. She says she spends more time in the gym than she does in the pickleball court practicing, which should say a lot to the fans out there. And JW Johnson, the Johnson family certainly does a lot in the gym as well. Um, I think it's strength is obviously important, but more important is injury prevention. Because these are long days in the court for these pros, especially as draws have only gotten bigger, and you're looking at 4 days of play for a lot of these players. When we separated the divisions out to these 3 separate days of play and then a fourth day for the finals, if you're playing in all 4 days, that's a grind. Um, so you're making sure you're wearing compression tights if it's colder, keep the muscles warm, stretching out before and after matches, toning and weight training in the off weeks. They're just doing so much more than they ever were, and really showing that this is a true professional sport where you can't compete at the highest level unless you're keeping up physically.
Absolutely. And if the pros are doing it, all the rest of us should be doing it too, because, we certainly want to be out enjoying the sport and getting after it. So what do you see in 23 that's kind of lighting you up going, I never expected this, but here's where we're going. And, any kind of crystal ball comment that from, because you see quite a bit more than a lot of people do. So without overcommitting yourself, of course.
The broadcast partnerships are pretty big. We're still finishing up some of the full scale agreements with some of the bigger broadcasting houses. But we're going to see some really, really cool coverage that'll really amplify the sport on a big level. That's something I'm excited about. The MLP PPA partnership, obviously, very exciting as well. Um, Hopefully, some celebrity moments this year that will be really interesting and fun.
Yep.
All of the new faces on the tour are extremely exciting. We are going to, I believe, I want to say 6 or 7 brand new cities this year, which is really exciting for local markets. I think Nashville is in that mix, San Diego, Seattle, um, a couple others as well. As you
Back to New
mentioned,
York again,
Pictona,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Pictona Beach. So those are markets where we're excited to tap into and see what that local crowd is like. And it's always so fun for players to go to a new place and spend a few days and sightsee. So there's so many new things this year I'm excited for. But we also actually, just on a more personal PPA note, we've gone from, I think we hired close to 30 new employees, which has been huge for us. As just an organization to get a little bit more structured, and the things that we're doing, making sure we're really fulfilling all of our promises to the amateurs and professionals, and making this tour a really great place to be.
Can any of those 30 help Hannah?
Help who?
Hannah help you?
I've got a few. Oh man, I've got
You
some writers who help me out. I've
you
got a
better
PR
claim some
firm.
folks, Hannah. They're gonna march them off at some other
I
place.
know. They're assigning me a few helpers. We actually have a chat later today to talk about getting me some help. I
Boy,
need it.
raise your hand quickly.
Oh,
Well,
actually, by the way, Cameron Blackwood, I believe, is going to come aboard to the tour this
oh,
year, help me out with some of my sidelining for tournaments. I just can't go to 25 tournaments, so that
sure.
should be awesome as well. And we're excited to have her
Yeah.
be the face in some of these tournaments.
Yeah, and some of you have seen Cameron already out in the sidelines, but formerly going to be riding shotgun. I like that. It gives you a bit of a break. Does this thing just go end to end like in 23, or is there like breaks for everybody that are planned, or it doesn't work like that yet, or how's it go?
So as of now, it's a year-long schedule. We got about 3 weeks off over Christmas/New Year's, and I think there might be a 2 to 3 week break in July or June, but it's not long. And as of now, we don't have an off season, I suppose, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
The players do have the chance to skip certain tournaments. So the way that the rankings work is that you take your top 16 results over a 52-week period.
Hmm.
So as there's 25 tournaments, technically, you only need to play 16 of those 25 events in order to keep your ranking up, assuming you do well in all 16 and you don't want to replace any of those results. But I think a lot of players will take advantage of that and not go to every single tournament because it is a grind and it's a long year and everybody needs time, especially those pros that have families. Like Jay DeVilliers has 3 boys, Callie's got 2, and I think she wants to maybe continue trying for more too. So, you have to keep those things in mind.
Sure. I know a guy that runs a thing called Pickleball Getaways. You might want to go on those. They look fun. I'm talking about
Oh
Ben
yeah,
Johns and Deckelbar, who
that's
had
right.
an idea that became something much bigger. And you're involved too, right, Anna? Or
I am, yeah. The
yeah,
company has just exploded. It turns
yeah.
out people love to travel and play pickleball. Who would have thought?
Who would have
Um,
thought that? And then the
yeah,
extracurricular activities, which we won't talk about, that go along with that, which is fun.
that's right. I've got
But
to go ahead.
you might want to take a break and go on one of those getaways. They look
I will
fun.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm gonna join pickleball getaways in I think it's Slovenia and Costa Rica this year.
yeah. Because they were in what, Croatia and Portugal last time around, something like
Oh
that,
yeah, they did that. I think they did 2 trips in
over,
Portugal, one
over
in
the
Croatia
summer.
last
Yeah.
year. Mhm.
Yeah, if any of you have an interest in that, pickleball getaways is a really fun thing to go travel. And Deckel Bar's family's got a whole business around travel, and Ben and now Hannah are involved, and it's a really fun thing. They get jammed up quickly, so if you don't raise your hand and get in, you may not. But they run them quite a few, which is surprising amidst this busy schedule that Hannah just recited. Um, I am going to let you go. I know you've probably got a million other things to do. We really appreciate you joining us and dropping knowledge on the latest in PPA and MLP and pickleball in general. It's delightful. You're as pretty as you are smart, which is a good thing. So
Thank
we
you.
thank you again for being with us.
Thanks, Buzz. Buzz, this is great timing because Ben's staying with me right now, and he just came into the kitchen to fix breakfast, so it's gonna get
Don't
loud in
go in
here.
the kitchen, Ben. You're not allowed in the kitchen. Gosh,
Yeah, tell him.
I
All
saw a
right. Well,
commercial about that. Doesn't
I
he
know.
learn?
It rings a
Gosh,
bell.
unbelievable. Little brothers, you can only tell them so much. You know.
I know. I know. And he's gonna make himself a protein shake and just run
Yeah.
that stupid blender. I know.
All right. He's going to get a crank, and we'll say goodbye for now. Hey, thanks again, Hannah, and we'll see you
All
out on the
right.
courts, particularly here in Florida. I'll be catching up with you somewhere down either Pictona or somewhere around the
Sounds good.
Florida area.
Thanks for having me, Buzz.
You got it. My thanks to Hannah for joining us. We really appreciate her time, busy gal that she is. And she will be down in Florida, in my home state here, on March 9th through 12th at the Florida Open, the Carvana PPA stop coming up. And she will be noticeably on the sidelines and everywhere around the tournament. And we'll look forward to catching up with her there. And if you're around, please stop by. Great facility at Pictona and lots of fun. So we will see you again soon. Stay tuned for more.